For many of us as parents, we are not equipped for conversations with our young people about developing bodies, sex and relationships. And that can often be because we have not had that example set to us. We have not experienced it. We don't have scripts. So we're hoping that we can use some scenarios here and just give some example responses to help empower you and give you confidence moving forward. Scenario 1. Samir, age 5, is having fun in the bath. He laughs and says to his parent, "Look, my winky gets big." Now, what could be a positive way for his parent to respond? How would you respond? I want you to think first about your reaction. It is really, really common for us to go red, stutter, stammer, freeze, and be unsure what to do next. So stop, take a breath, and feel your feelings. They are okay. It is not a problem if you feel unsure or surprised by these questions. But let's answer them together. So firstly, consider language. When we're talking about a winky, we mean a penis. That is the correct word. Also, when we're talking about it getting big, that is called an erection. An erection can happen for all kinds of reasons. The penis can get big and it can change. Be prepared then for further conversations. These might not happen right now. Samir might be really quite happy with your response and feel confident carrying on in the bath. However, this might happen there and then, or it might happen further down the line. So be prepared to answer, well, why? Why does that happen to my penis? This happens because blood flows to it. It happens because that's how your body works. Doesn't mean it's bad, doesn't mean it's broken. That is how your body works. Blood flows to the penis and it gets big. It's called an erection. When does this happen? Erections can happen at all different times for all kinds of different reasons. It might feel nice. It's okay to tell your child that it might feel nice. They show your body is working. But you must also say, if your penis is ever painful, if it is ever uncomfortable when you get an erection, come and speak to me as your safe adult. Okay, it is completely normal for you to get erections. It is also okay for it to feel nice. But if it ever feels painful or uncomfortable, come and speak to me. That might be something we need to speak to a doctor about. That's for you to know, perhaps not for you to scare them with. But it's completely okay to talk to me if your penis feels uncomfortable. While we're talking about penises in the bath, I think it's important to mention girls and female bodies. Some parents feel less confident when talking to girls, especially small young girls, about playing with their vulvas. Boys, there is almost an expectation that they play with their penises. However, girls and vulvas seems somewhat more taboo. This can be due to all kinds of historical stigma around female bodies and sexuality. But we must take the exact same approach as we do to Samir here in the bath. If a little girl is exploring her vulva, we make sure she knows the correct name, the correct language, and we're positive about her exploring her body. And absolutely, it is okay if that feels nice. As children get older, we then help them understand that genital play feels nice, but absolutely is a private act for perhaps bathrooms and bedrooms. Moving on now to scenario 2. Jennifer has 2 daughters aged 4 and 8. One day, as she's getting ready to have a shower, they ask her why she sometimes has hair on her private parts and sometimes she doesn't. How could Jennifer respond to their question? How would you respond? Again, I want you to think about your reaction. Take a breath and feel whatever it is going through your body, your mind, what you may be unsure about, what maybe makes you nervous in this situation. And let's keep that positive. Okay? Emphasize that body hair, pubic hair, is a personal choice. Just like the hair on our head. It is all down to genetics, what kind of hair you have on your body and how it grows. But actually then what we do with it is personal choice in terms of styling. Just like we choose our hairstyles and our haircuts. Your body, your choice. Your body, your rules. That is an important framework to follow when we're talking to our young people. That is a decision as an adult that perhaps you may choose That is how you choose to style your pubic hair. That is how you choose to display it. Sometimes you might have it, sometimes you might not. Be again prepared for further conversations. Young people might ask, well, how? How do you get rid of your hair there? Firstly, it's completely normal to have pubic hair. There is no shame in pubic hair. It is not that you are disgusted by pubic hair. It is a completely normal thing for us to grow on our bodies. Being positive about hair in different places, because often in society it is not shown, is really important. Some people choose to remove it by perhaps shaving or waxing or all kinds of different hair removal techniques. Others do not, trying to show a mixture of responses and reactions. That it's something that you might choose to do sometimes and sometimes other people don't, and that doesn't mean there's a right and a wrong, a good or a bad. It is, again, personal choice. Some people like to have short hairstyles, some people like to have long hairstyles. It's the same with pubic hair. Why? Why would you do that? You know, that's often a question young people may ask either now or further down the line. This is perhaps a really good time to learn together why humans grow hair on different parts of their body. Why is there hair in our armpits? Why is there hair in our pubic area? Learning why we have it helps us understand why it is there, helps us feel more confident about having it, knowing it is completely normal. It's also perhaps when you could talk about social pressures as your child gets older, social pressures to style and have their hair in different ways. Again, referring to hair on the head, perhaps it's a fashion choice, perhaps it's a statement. And again, the social pressures that then lead to other parts of body hair and why it is that people may decide to keep or remove it. And finally, we're going to look at scenario number 3. Scenario 3 is Sam's daughter, Amara, is 9. She is the first person in her friendship group to have started her periods, and she's upset about being the first one. How could Sam respond? How would you respond? Again, stop and think about your reaction. Take a breath, feel whatever instant response you have, and ask yourself why. Why is it that we respond like this? What is it that is affecting us in that way? It's normal to feel unsure, but it's also important that we look inwards. Remember to keep discussion positive and be reassuring for both of you. Educate. Explain that periods are completely natural. They're a part of growing up, but everyone is totally unique in when and how that happens to them. People start at different ages. Their bodies are all different. It will happen to your friends as well. Introduce them to period products and personal hygiene. Again, be aware that period products have changed since I was at school and I was learning about these things, and this may be the same for you as parents. We now have things like period pants and menstrual cups. So perhaps take this opportunity to learn together. If you're a father in this situation and you haven't experienced periods firsthand, again, this could be a real opportunity to learn with your daughter. Be prepared to reassure and tackle stigma. Periods are a completely natural and healthy thing to happen to you. They are a normal way of your body reacting to puberty and going into that next life chapter. However, it can be really, really scary and unnerving, and a lot of hormones and emotions are at play at this time in their lives. So listening and comforting is really important too. Make sure that they also know how periods work and how period products work. Speaking to school as well, if you think that might help. It might be the fact that they've not had any information or education on periods yet at the age of 9. So making sure school are aware, they are helping educate and inform perhaps their peers, but also doing some work at home on that too. Remember, blood is something that children often have only associated with pain and violence previously. So this can be really, really scary for a young person. These negative associations can often affect their first sort of reaction to period bleeding. Down the line, some further conversations for you that you might need to help your child as they go through their period journey as such is actually, does your primary school have period product bins in the toilets? Some, because previously through history, girls have started slightly later. Some are only in the teachers' toilets or in the disabled toilets. And so children that have started their periods at a young age have to go and use those toilets, signalling them out as different. Brings attention to themselves. So actually encouraging your school to ensure that there are period product bins in all of the toilets is then sort of helping educate young people, reducing shame and stigma. It's also useful to have one of those bins at home for your product wrappers and used products as well, so they're not flushed down the toilet. Those scenarios are just some examples of some of the questions that we might receive as parents. They are often when we least expect it, and they can happen at any age. These queries happen regularly throughout children's lives. Our aim is as parents to hopefully be that safe space for them to answer those questions and try and equip ourselves with some confidence and information with which to answer them. Now, when we think about these questions moving forward, wherever they might be or whatever they might be about or where they might come from, think about being positive, welcoming the question. It's okay if you don't know, but just sort of welcome the question to start. Check you understand what they're asking. Actually, as your mind jump to an adult understanding of that question and they're asking something completely different. So just double check what they are asking. Try your best to provide a factual answer using language at their level so you think they'll understand. If you don't know the answer, that's absolutely okay. Do not worry. You're not expected to know everything. As we grow up, I think we often realise that those parents that we thought knew it all actually were making it up as they go along just as much as we are. So take a breath. If you don't know, then absolutely you can say, I don't know, I'm going to go and find out for you, or give this as an opportunity to learn together, or just press pause so your body can go through those reactions and say, let me make a cup of tea and I'll answer that for you. Okay, there are different approaches that you can just do to pause, take your time for your body to react, and either answer, learn together, or come back to it. But don't put it off in a sense of, I'll tell you when you're older. Try and give an honest, calm, positive response. Address any underlying needs or emotions. We have so many emotions that are going through us for all kinds of different reasons when it comes to talking about bodies, sex and relationships. So stop and consider those. Try and stay open. You don't have to run away with all the information and all the facts when they ask. That is okay. Give an answer to their question at their level and their age, but remain open for those further conversations. So saying like, here's the answer to that question, but if you've got any further questions later on, let me know. You know, if there's anything else you want to ask, go for it. As their brain develops, their knowledge develops, they then know they can come to you with those further questions. You've not shut it down, you've kept open, you've kept responsive, and you've kept positive. We can do this.